So in this video today, I'll be talking about what a CPU is, what its role in the computer is, what are the main differences between CPUs, and how to choose one for a build. Let's begin by first understanding what a CPU actually does in a computer and what its role is. So firstly, the role of the CPU is to process all of the main processes of your PC. So these things includes things such as opening a program such as like Google Chrome or let's say Microsoft Word. The CPU also handles tasks such as rendering videos from programs like Adobe Premiere or Final Cut Pro if you're into video editing. So basically, the gist of the CPU is that it's basically the main brains of the thing. The CPU is designed to handle many different kinds of tasks, but CPU does not specialize in any like of these tasks. For example, tasks such as rendering graphics for a game, stuff like that is handled by the GPU, which we will talk about in the next video. Now that we've covered the basics of what role a CPU performs in a PC, let's get down to the key terminology that you will need to know when thinking about purchasing a CPU for a build. So to begin with, the first key terminology that you will need to know is core. So what a CPU core is think of it as a mouth of the CPU. You feed the mouth code, and it regurgitates it as whatever, like let's say Google Chrome or something like that. The cores are what actually process the information that's being fed to your chip. Next up is threads. What a thread is basically think of it as hands that you're using to feed the CPU information. Some CPUs use technology called multi-threading or hyper-threading, where there are at least 2 threads per core in the CPU. This allows for the CPU to not exactly run faster, but in situations where the CPU processes information too fast, it'll be able to keep going, processing new information faster because it has more hands to feed it information, so to say. Lastly, the last terminology that you will need to know is core clock. This is basically a measure of speed, and the unit which it is measured in is either gigahertz or megahertz, depending on what the number is. Now that you know all this information, the way you would choose a CPU for a build is first, let's think about, you have to think about what you're going to use the PC for. Let's say you're a video editor and you like to edit videos. What's really important when video editing, if you want to render your videos really quickly, especially if they're videos in high resolution such as 4K, you will need more cores to in order for the video to render faster. So something like, let's say, a Pentium chip would not be good for video editing as it lacks the core count and the clock speeds necessary for this task. Let's say you're just going to use the PC that you built for gaming. Then for this task, the CPU really isn't that important. Like the higher up you go, the less and less like better performance you will see in your games. What's really important for games is your GPU. So as long as you have a quad core, you should be fine. In this case, you would instead of splurging on a better CPU, you would use your money invest your money into getting a better GPU for your PC. And so that's all the information you really need to know about choosing a CPU for your build. Thank you for watching this video. Check out my other videos if you want any more information about PCs and such.